You are now listening to the Sae Bae Cast, the #1 old school RuneScape podcast featuring guests from all across Galanor. To support this podcast, visit the Patreon link in the description.
All right, welcome to the Sae Bae Cast, number 74 with KempQ. KempQ.
Oh, we just missed 73. What?
I should have just had you on for 73 just to like troll and then get Bodhi on for 74, or just have gotten Bodhi on for 72. Just like, dude,
or skill specs. Yeah.
Like, could you have just not waited one more episode to get him on the meme number? But I was really happy, by the way, that did work out. That worked out nicely.
Yeah, wonderful. That's a 5.5 hour cast that you did with Bodhi.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's wild.
So I had a limit. My first year of podcasting, I was on a certain podcasting host service, and they would just severely reduce your audio quality if you went beyond 4 hours. So I always felt the need to cut off my guests around the 4 hour mark. And I was like, yeah, that kind of sucks because we definitely could have talked longer. And now that cap has been lifted. So, I mean, we've had a 6 hour and 40-minute cast with Caveman only. That was aggressive.
Wow. That's quite a bit of time. Yeah, well, sorry to interrupt you and cut you off.
No, you're good.
I'll go ahead and introduce myself.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So my name is KempQ. I am the world's most passionate RuneScape player. I started playing RuneScape in about 2006 when my brother introduced it to me, and then he got me to play the game for him, basically, enslaved me and my other siblings to mine him ore, and then he would get to do the fun part of converting that ore into bars and then smithing the bars into armor, selling the armor for money, and he would pay us cents on the dollar, just a little bit of money, while he kept most of the profits for himself. So he's about 5 years older than me, so he was smart enough to do that. That's how I got introduced into RuneScape, and ever since I've been super passionate about it, love the game, and now I make videos full time on RuneScape on 2 different YouTube channels.
Hell yeah. We were talking right before this cast, I was mentioning, I was like, was it you that was streaming around 2015? And you were. And
that's right.
It's crazy to see how of course it's been 7 years now, but to think that is such a short amount of time to be where you are now. So big congrats on all the growth and I don't know.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I've done a lot of different kind of variety, both in game and also when it comes to content creation. I actually first started out on Twitch. That's where I got, people like you that had seen my streams before. A lot of people started following me, but before that I had made like a Ironmen series back in 2014 that was inspired completely by Bodhi and his one-man army series. Basically what I tried to do was copy everything that he did in his one-man army series, but he had a lot more free time than I did. I was going to a very difficult school, and I was trying to keep up with my studies while also playing RuneScape for however long he was playing RuneScape for, and I was just like months behind him like the entire time. So I never kept up, but I did produce like 4 videos in a video series called Soldier of Solitude, and that was very fun for me. It also didn't get any traction. Like I think I got like 1,000 to 2,000 views when I first started. Then I did streaming, did dual arena staking. That's how I'm so familiar with the dual arenas, because I was actually staking that back in 2015 when you first discovered me. And I would do all of this between my school. So I was very on and off my content creation throughout the years. Mm-hmm. And then I just kind of went full swing when I hit my second year of college.
That's so cool. I just love hearing the beginning stories of people getting into content creation, because it just is so relatable to me now. Everyone has their own little path of how they kind of got into it, but I find it really cool because I don't really talk to content creators that don't like what they're doing. Most of them are just absolutely they understand how lucky they are and the great opportunity they have. So
definitely, man. I'm honestly one of the luckiest people in the world, and I'm very grateful to people that have followed me for the last few years.
Yeah. So I think the majority of people, when they hear KempQ, they think anti-scam and
Yeah.
just Duel Arena, the dark sides of it and all that stuff. So I actually have a question for you, which is pretty broad, but what are the pros and the cons now of the Duel Arena having left the game completely?
Sure. Well, I suppose I'll speak to that context a little bit. So the reason why people associate me with anti-scam is because uh, the Duel Arena was a very nefarious place where there was a lot of toxicity, and what I did to combat that, because Jagex would not, was try to see if I could anti-scam the scammers, and I did that successfully for a while. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to continue that. I wasn't able to continually anti-scam them. It was only, a few times here and there, a very inconsistent process. Um, but I did make 2 videos on that, and those are my most popular videos. Then I was exposing the Duel Arena for all the flaws that it had, because I had a lot of experience with the Duel Arena myself, having been a staker at one point, and I thought it was just a very toxic place. And because I'm so passionate about RuneScape, I thought it had no place in the game. So I exposed all of like the kind of underground community that they do all these types of felonies. They blackmail, they DDoS, they send death threats. And what I did was I made a video about it, and then they threatened me, threatened to send a hitman to my house or whatever.
Jesus
which
Christ.
I don't take those seriously anymore. At the time, I took that threat very seriously, and I was very anxious about it. But I decided to turn that anxiety into a funny parody video about what they were doing. Just basically making fun of them for saying they were going to kill me, and they were also going to bust out my knees, which, if you're going to kill me, there's no point in capping out my knees with a baseball bat. It's like, so don't say you're going to kill me and then like downgrade the threat. So just making jokes at them, poking fun. And that was really the video that really took off for my channel and allowed me to become full-time content creation. So at the beginning, when I first got those threats, I was so nervous, anxious, just scared.
Yeah.
And then, like, after a little while, I realized those threats were empty, because the guys that were making them, they're just, the people that stay in their basement all day, they're never going outside, they're never going to see the sunlight ever again. And I'm not scared at all. And I'm also grateful to them. I'm grateful that they gave me that opportunity to convert the anxiety that I had been feeling into something good, because I was trying to raise money for charity. And a lot of the success that I have with my channel, trying to convert that into basically try to fundraise for charitable causes. So I'm able to convert their bad energy into good energy, and that's what I pride myself on the channel now.
That's so cool.
Now, for your question about the pros and cons of the change with the Duel Arena. So the Duel Arena, as it was super easy to target all of the bad things, all the bad actors that were happening, because Jagex could go in, spend a little time identifying who were the culprits, who were the people guilty of committing scams, and saying racial slurs, or threatening hacking or what have you. It was a centralized location where basically all of the gambling throughout all of RuneScape was happening. Now, with the 10 million GP cap on all stakes, that is a nerf of the Duel Arena, and it's no longer worth it for all those bad actors to spend time at the Duel Arena. So what happened was the gambling has dispersed all across RuneScape. It's gone to the Grand Exchange, Camelot, Lumbridge, Castle Wars, and then there's tons of like gambling bots everywhere too. But probably the most money that is gambled is through death matches now. Now, that, in my opinion, is not as big of a problem as what the Duel Arena was offering before. The Duel Arena in its former state was really, really bad, really, really toxic. Gambling addictions were very easy to start, because Jagex were providing the platform that allowed kind of like a trusted middleman. They were the trusted middleman of this gambling.
Yep.
But now, if you want to gamble in RuneScape by doing these death matches, it's extremely mechanically complex, and you have to know what you're doing. So only people that like it's so inaccessible. Only people that really think they know what they're doing, even if they don't. You have to be very confident to know that it's going to be like 50%, 50-50 odds.
Mm-hmm.
So it's inaccessible, honestly. There's a huge obstacle to trust the person you're fighting or trust a middleman. And trusting people is simply not what people do. If you've watched my most recent video, it's called The Evolution of Gambling in RuneScape.
Yep.
Scamming is happening all the time. So people are disillusioned with the idea of death matches. So although gambling still exists in RuneScape, the negative effects that it brings to the game are on a much lesser scale.
Interesting. Yeah, I can see the convenience factor being the biggest thing. Just easily being able to go privately to the Duel Arena to go gamble.
Yeah,
it was just a lot easier than, like, I'm assuming, because I watched your video last night, and I assume a lot of it's third-party websites to get, permission or get ranks or get all this other shit, and having to just trust people.
Yeah,
So.
it's not happening. I mean, like, I used to gamble at the Duel Arena just for fun or whatever, and I never have any interest in going in death matches. I mean, it's just so inaccessible. The amount of trust you have to have for people. It's not happening, man. It's not happening.
Interesting. It's funny how they get rid of one thing of gambling. It just seems like, oh, this will be the end all be all like fix. I don't think you ever thought that. I don't think a lot of people ever thought that. But there was this kind of idea that getting rid of the Duel Arena or severely nerfing it would just solve everything. But yeah, everyone, I mean, if it's just human nature to find a way to gamble, I swear to God, like, they will find their way to gamble. So,
well, people really took to high risk the death matching scene after the Duel Arena nerf, but it was mostly the people that were already hooked to gambling because of the Duel Arena. So these people, because the Duel Arena was so accessible, there was a large funnel of people that could do a stake and then want to do more stakes and then eventually get hooked to gambling. That funnel was massive. There's one person that I interviewed. He has like 700,000 subscribers on YouTube. He's 14 years old. And I think his name is Noah. And he had played RuneScape for like a few months and then already knew about the Duel Arena a few months after he started. And then he got a gambling addiction from that.
oh God.
And he still has this gambling addiction. And what the Duel Arena offered was just gambling addictions left and right. Thousands of people got gambling addictions, maybe tens of thousands, over the course of the last 10 years that the Duel Arena existed in that form. So now that the Duel Arena is gone, all those gambling addicts have switched to other activities such as deathmatching, sure. But because deathmatching is so inaccessible, there's such a barrier to entry, the likelihood that more and more people will funnel into gambling addictions via RuneScape is much lower. It's like basically zero now compared to what it was.
True. That is a good point. You're right, because the people that gamble now probably had their fair share of the Duel Arena experience.
Yes,
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming you watch Twitch. Let me ask you this. Do you watch YouTube or Twitch more?
Oh, that's a hard one, man. I think Twitch, I watch a lot of Twitch. I used to watch like 8 hours a day back in college.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Might as well just have it on in the background.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Because usually when a person's more into making YouTube videos, they tend to watch more YouTube. At least that was with like Solo Mission. That's like I just bring up one example and just assume that's everybody, but that's
true. That is
Yeah.
true. Because I'm friends with a lot of other YouTubers and they say they don't watch a lot of Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably one of the only people that watch. I'm one of the creators that does watch a lot of Twitch. just based on who I've asked. So I think you have a point there. I'm not sure why that is, but I do enjoy YouTube videos. It's just that I'm so accustomed to having like the highest tier of YouTube quality. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. My standards are very strange. Like, I just enjoy watching people that I enjoy, their
Okay.
personalities. Like, I'll watch a Bodhi video any day. I would still watch a Chris Archie video if he made videos.
Yeah.
Um, and I love Solo Mission. I love Framed. I love Torvesta. I love C Engineer. So I watch all their videos. However, I watch more Twitch.
Yeah.
I watch all these YouTubers, but I watch a lot more Twitch.
Okay. The reason I kind of bring it up is what do you think about, and this is not really my area of expertise, and I honestly don't care that much because I'm just not it. I'm not affected by it. But what do you think about gambling on Twitch? About people, I've noticed, for example, just to bring up a clear example, XQC now gets sponsored by gambling streams. So now he's got.
Does he really?
Yeah, so now he has 75,000 kids watching him gamble thousands and thousands of dollars on the stream. So I just wonder, because you've been, clearly in the realm of seeing gaming and gambling and stuff like that. Do you have any thoughts on people like just basically promoting gambling on a video game platform?
Yeah. So when a sponsor sponsors you, they pay you a significant amount of money for you to advertise their product or their service to your audience, Remember that. And if they're paying you money, that means that they are confident. They have to be very confident that they're going to get a much higher margin of money back into their business from investing in your sponsorship.
Mm-hmm.
So if XQC is getting $2 million a month from a gambling sponsorship, which is not unrealistic, it's probably even more than that. I'm not sure how many gambling streams he's doing. I don't know the terms of the contract. But I do know that however much he is getting, if that contract is renewed, then that means that he did a great job for that sponsor. And what that means is he did a great job converting people, his audience, into going to go gamble and spend more money on the gambling website and lose that money than what he was paid to get sponsored. So what he is doing is he is finding a way to convert his viewers' money into his own money, and consequently, by a byproduct of gambling is that many of those people will get hooked onto gambling. They will get addicted. So I have covered this topic before. I talked about how train wrecks. First of all, the video that I made was discussing how many influencers abuse their power, abuse their influence in order to earn more money, and exploit their audience and just do anything they can to exploit their audience to make more money. I mentioned like Return of Wilderness. I mentioned like a staking streamer that was, hosting these giveaways, but was really just not the nicest character in the world. He was clearly in it for himself. And then at the end of the video, I talked about someone who's not a RuneScaper. I talked about Trainwreck. And Trainwreck was doing these gambling streams and clearly profiting a lot of money. And that is a concern for me. I don't like that. I think it's immoral. And he can say all he wants that he doesn't want his audience to gamble. That's what he's saying. But if you look at his actions, it's very clear that he is taking a payout knowing full well that his audience is about to go gamble, and he's pocketing that money. That's essentially what's happening. And so I made a full video about that. And so that's my opinion on it, is that it's not a good thing to do. It's bad for the world. It's bad for all of their audience. If you care about your audience, you don't take a gambling sponsorship. That's my perspective.
So do the people that start taking these contracts, do they themselves get addicted, you think? Like, do you think Trainwrecks got addicted?
Oh yeah, Trainwrecks is definitely addicted to gambling.
Because of
100%.
that, or was it like something prior? Do you think it's like directly
think,
because he?
I'm not sure the history, but I would imagine that he got hooked to gambling, and then he started streaming it and or doing something,
Yeah.
and then he got sponsored by Stake,
Yeah.
and I'm very confident, by the way, that Stake was started by a RuneScape Duel Arena scammer,
That
which is
sounds
pretty
about right.
interesting.
That sounds about right. Didn't a friend get sponsored by Stake.com? I feel like that was
he
the
did.
first time I heard about it. I mean,
Exactly.
because I only
Exactly.
follow RuneScape mainly. But like, was it around before then for a while, or was that kind of like the inception?
I'm pretty sure that's when it started. Yeah.
Wow.
There are a lot of crazy origins of events like that, or websites, or just crazy things in the crypto space as well, that all originated from RuneScape. I can speak more to that. Like, for example, some of the top streamers in real life on Twitch, some of the top streamers on Twitch started from RuneScape. Ice Poseidon, Austin Show.
Yep.
It's pretty crazy how RuneScape has so many ties to huge things that are occurring now.
Yeah.
I mean, Stake is one of them, but there's so many things that RuneScape has ties to. It's pretty crazy.
That's so fucking nuts. It's nuts the amount that these streamers are making, because then you just know how much the actual company is making from this. Like that. Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, gambling's fucked up. It really is. I've never met a gambler that's like an active gambler that's not just like a shady person. I don't know. I just feel like they're always, I feel like inevitably, if you're a gambler, you eventually just start lying and you start rationalizing your gambling. And because I've seen it in person. I mean,
yeah,
like I've known of people that it's just completely destroyed their lives, and it continues to destroy them. It's not like it just destroyed it and it's over. It's like, no, it's like it actively keeps going. It's a horrible addiction.
Yeah, I've heard the same. When I was a kid, before any of this, my dad told me a story about how there was this woman that would go burn parts of her house to basically call up the insurance company and say, hey, there was a fire in my house. This was a mistake, and I need money in order to repair the damage.
Jesus
And
Christ.
so she would get that money. Then she would drive down to Las Vegas and go gamble at the casinos. She would go back, and then she would burn more of her house down after losing all that money, get more money from the insurance company, go back, and then she was eventually caught. This is the story as I remember it. I could be getting something wrong, but that's what my dad told me. That was one of my first experiences of understanding how crippled you can become and how possessed you can become by this demon, this gambling addiction demon that exists in people's heads. And I agree with you that it really does change the mind. It corrupts the soul. And what happens is your brain chemistry literally changes. I mean, your neural networks are trained a certain way to follow your patterns depending on what you act out throughout your life. And if you act out these superficial, shallow pleasures of trying to get a high from the suspense and the dopamine of doing a gamble, then your brain will get accustomed to getting that short-term gratification, and you won't pursue something that's meaningful. You won't pursue the long-term meaningfulness that you're supposed to throughout your life. And that changes you. That changes you on like a fundamental level. So you said that gamblers become like liars, become shady. It's because they know from like a intrinsic, like ancestral, I don't know, so it's just on a deep level within them that they're not pursuing something meaningful, and that they are possessed by just this really toxic, horrible thing that makes them act out in bad ways.
Do you think Jagex has done their part, or is there more to do? Like, should they go out of the way to stop the other kind of like unofficial gambling, those little death matches and stuff? Do you think they've done their part?
I
already?
think Jagex didn't go about it the right. I think they could have consulted with people that knew more about the duel arena to basically, um, come up with a different solution than the 10 mil nerf.
Hmm.
However, I'm not sure. I've given it some thought, and I thought maybe if you just give the duel arena stakers, you require them to do last man standing gear, and so basically, like, they have to tribrid fight against each other. And if they just go up and staff bash each other for 50-50 odds, or whip each other, whatever, then it's still going to be very susceptible to scamming. Like, people could pull out their dragon dagger at the last second, and it wouldn't be a streamlined process. Um, what could make it streamlined is if you have like middlemen and ranks and stuff that would do these stakes for you, and then you just gamble on one person that's in the fight. Now, that's the downside of that option, is to, you know, because it would still be very highly streamlined, and people with gambling addictions would still use the duel arena. So that was a idea that I had initially, but maybe the 10 mil cap is actually the best way about it. In terms of if I think Jagex did their part, I do think they did. Um, and I think they did a good job. I don't think that they should try. Like, they should have no impact on if people are doing death matches. I mean, it's just PKing at the end of the day,
Hmm.
right? Um, and the funnel, like the obstacle to gamble now, is so high. The barrier to entry is so difficult to get through to gamble, that I think it's not even worth Jagex's time, because if you're going in a gamble knowing all of the bad things that could happen, which there are like thousands that I listed in my video, like, you could get hit by a mage rusher.
Yeah.
West Ham just made 3 billion GP from rushing these death matchers. You could get scammed. You could uh, forget to use an angler before you do the fight. You could forget to wear Barrow's gloves in your fight. And like, there's just so many barriers that Jagex really does not need to pay attention to those kind of private death matches that occur without any, negative aspects. Now, there are negative aspects that they do need to focus on. For example, I talked about a player moderator is going and deliberately reporting and muting all of the gambling bots that are advertising other middleman clan chats, but not the middleman clan chat that they're being paid by to not to not report. So they need to probably take action on that. And something my source has told me is that these clan chats are getting banned frequently, on a frequent basis.
Mm.
Um, and so, what that entails is that these people that are getting banned on their accounts will have to buy new accounts. They'll have to re-rank everyone in the clan chat, and it is a big hassle for them to, buy these new accounts and get resituated in order to do this middle manning process. So Jagex, I'm pretty sure, are taking action in terms of moderation, and I think that's a great thing, to combat the things that are actually really bad. But if you and your friend want to go do death matches, why would I care? It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I do not care. So I don't think Jagex should punish that whatsoever, and they can't. It'd be impossible to regulate that.
Yeah. Okay. I want to make a little shift from the duel arena to PvP, and your thoughts on the state of PvP now, what you personally think could help revive potentially the wilderness or PvP, PKing, additions like that. I personally love to hear this stuff, and I'm going to be getting Pure Spam on very soon on the cast
Nice.
to hear about his thoughts, because I swear anybody that's involved in PvP in some way has a different view, has a different vision of what they want the wilderness or what they want PKing to be in the future. So what are your thoughts on that? Do you have any specifics that you would really love to see come into the game to help out?
Well, I'll definitely be watching that cast with Pure Spam. Very sexy man. um, yes, I do have opinions on PvP. I don't know if I said this before in the podcast, but like, I love PvP. It's one of my primary motivators. And for RuneScape, I'm very passionate about it. And so when it comes to like reviving the wilderness and PvP in RuneScape, first of all, I'll give some context. So back in 2006, 2007, PvP was super active. Like it was one of the staples of the game, very iconic. You would see tons of, the most popular YouTube videos back in those days of RuneScape were about PvP. As far as my understanding goes, I'm pretty sure that's the case.
I agree.
Um, and so people loved it. And then it was removed from the game. Bounty Hunter was added. It just kind of got messed up. It got like tangled up, and just the community slowly fell apart over the years with stuff like the removal of PvP in the wilderness. Bounty creators wasn't as thrilling, wasn't as interactive, wasn't as fun. And then obviously like evolution of combat, just and lack of content focused on the wilderness is probably what happened also throughout 2008 to 2013. Now, in old school RuneScape, the same thing has persisted from 2013 to, basically now. Much more focus has been placed on skilling, PVM, Slayer updates, and that's all good and fine. People appreciate those updates, but the PvP community did not get the love, did not get the same attention. And even though their community was pretty strong in the beginning, the PvP community was very, very strong in the beginning. I'm not sure the percentage of players that did PvP, but it was relatively high, much higher than it is these days. These days, the number that's thrown out there, I think by Jagex themselves, is about 5% of the RuneScape player base engages with PvP in some form. Now, back when old school first started, I bet you it was triple, quadruple, maybe quintuple times that. The problem now is because we haven't had updates, there is no point in doing PvP, especially as the focus of players has been more on efficiency scape, doing things quickly. People have entered into their adult lives. I'm 26 now. I have to focus on, what is good for me and my goals. And if I want to get 99 strength quickly, I have to map out the fastest way to do that because I'm also very busy in my real life. So I want to, make really good progress. I'm not just going to bank stand at the Grand Exchange all day talking to people. I got to get this done quickly. And because of that, because people are older and they're smarter with the game, they know that PvP is just not the way to earn money. I mean, look at Theater of Blood. When it came out, it was like, in the first week, it was like probably 50, 100 mil an hour or something.
Yeah, it had to have been.
And then for like 2 years after that, it was 10 million GP per hour. Yep. 10 million GP per hour, which is incredible. And it stayed like that for a very long time. It's less than that now. It's about, I think, 7 mil per hour. But it's still much, much better than any option you have in the wilderness. And unless you're like literally top 1% PKer. So yeah, it's just, there's nothing to go to the wilderness for. And that's what really needs to be focused on is why are people going to go hunt players in the wilderness if there are no players that have any valuables on them? So the meta is to do PVM. There's nothing rewarding about PvP. So what really needs to shift is making activities within a PvP frame, so such as in the wilderness, that are part of the average RuneScape player's journey. So if you're trying to get a, let's just say, maxed combat account, you want 99 in all your combat stats only, and maybe some high Slayer or something. The goal of that would be to make at least a little chapter of that story of your entire RuneScape adventure have some kind of ties into the wilderness beyond just getting the Magic Arena 2 cape. That's basically the only thing that you do in the wilderness these days if you're, or maybe clue scrolls. But, once again, the meta is to not do clue scrolls if you're wanting to profit. They don't make as much money as doing like maybe just gargoyles, AFK gargoyles. You make more money per hour than trying to get third age.
With collection log, though, clues are now a
Collection
huge
log,
deal.
yes,
Yeah,
that's true. That's true. Although I doubt that many people are focused on that. I think
you're right.
the average person, I think maybe 70% of the player base, they don't have time to focus on fulfilling their collection log. Um, I think that number is, I think the number that of people that do care about their collection log is growing up as, you have more focus on it recently. Bodhi's talking about it more and bringing attention to the collection log. Lots of people don't know about it at the start, or they don't really care about it at the
Yeah.
start. But um, with more marketing of that kind of content from Bodhi, for example, then and Twitch streamers as well, they do collection log content. But anyhow, the basically the profitability of the wilderness is about a third of what it is in safe zones such as Theater of Blood, and there's also no like variety in the skill level. So doing wilderness bosses, what you're basically forced to do is get them in a safe spot. So all you have to do is click them and that's it. And it's just so boring. Like, of course, you still have to focus on the mini map and stuff, but there's so many dimensions that the wilderness is lacking compared to uh, safe zone content, the high end safe zone content. So what Jagex needs to do is create those dimensions within the wilderness, create a skill dimension, make bosses mechanically more difficult, and then also make them more rewarding based on their difficulty, based on the wilderness level that they're in, because that's more danger, and also based on what kind of gear you need to attack that, to successfully kill that PVM boss or whatever.
So let me ask real quick. With these bosses, if they were to make some reworks that actually give them actual mechanics,
Yeah.
do you think it's important for them to be in singles, or is it okay for them to be in multi? I want to hear your thoughts.
You could have a variety. And I think there needs to be room for multi clans in RuneScape, 100%. Multi is a very fascinating aspect of the game. And to just cast that away to say that everything should be singles is wrong. Um, the problem that we're facing now is that we don't really have any multi hotspots. And so if you want to go PKing with your friends,
Mm-hmm.
it's not feasible because everywhere is a single plus zone, which I'm actually in support of that update. I think it's great for, Tom to go just by himself into the wilderness, explore, and he won't get, clawed out by 5 max mains that just keep jumping him, like continually attacking him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so
I just
I'm glad.
think, I think because Iron Man is in the game, if there were to be uniques rather than just gold, because I've heard the argument, as long as the wilderness just gives great GP per hour and not necessarily unique items that would benefit you in skilling or in PVM, then it's fine. But if you're having, like, let's just say there's a boss in level 40 or 50 wilderness that's multi, is that going to be impossible to face alone and you almost need a team? Like, would that be the idea?
I
Because
don't see a problem with requiring a team-based boss.
would it give a unique, though? Would it be like something that's just off limits? Because I just have to understand, and it's not necessarily, I don't really care that much if there's some items that you just can't really get feasibly.
Here's my
Yeah,
perspective
go
on
for
the
it.
kinds of rewards that should be available in the wilderness. Excuse me, sorry.
You're good.
Uh, you can't put more stuff that are like untradeable that are the best in slot items in the game. Well, so first of all, you have a lot of pets in the wilderness right now, which is very irksome to pet hunters and all kinds of people that they just don't want to be forced to enter the wilderness.
Mm-hmm.
And although I do think that that kind of community is overestimated, I think there are a lot of people that are like, I think most people are like, okay, if you want that item, you have to go face the dangers of the wilderness and get it.
Yep.
And they accept that. They're like, oh, yeah, obviously, I'm not going to cry about it. I'm not going to cry about getting PK'd or whatever. So I do think like maybe it's 20% of people that are opposed to pets in the wilderness, or the best in slot items are in the wilderness. Maybe it's 30%, maybe it's 40. I really don't know, but I don't think it's the majority, is my point. I think the majority of people accept that there are risks, and you should accept those risks if you want those rewards. Now, however, I think to appease those people, like, I'm not just going to exclude them from the analysis. We have to include their perspective because they are also players of the game. So, in order to appease those people and cooperate with them, we have to come up with a list of rewards with the specifications that fulfill both of our desires. So, my desire as a avid PvP fan and wilderness fan is to make the wilderness very lucrative for people. Okay, that's basically my objective. Their objective is to make it so that the best in slot items and the items that they really need for the entirety of their account going forward do not come from the wilderness. And so our solution, if we combine those two requirements, is to make it so that the wilderness is lucrative, sure, and it offers some good items that have these kind of fill gaps within the combat gear space. They fill gaps, but they aren't the best in slot items. They aren't like the Berserker Ring, or they aren't Torva, or they aren't Armadillo. They fit in gaps just below those items, and they're never best in slot.
Okay.
And also, I should say, if I'm going to be vying for my side a little bit more, those rewards from the wilderness, they need to be consistent. They need to be granted through consistent drops. So, for example, monsters dropping shards that you can assemble into these great items that have utility. So that means that whenever someone is hunting these monsters in the wilderness, they are accumulating all of these shards over time, and those shards have wealth. They're valuable.
So they're tradable.
They're tradable, yeah. And that means that someone can come along at any time and take all of them from you. But at the same time, it's not like you're just hunting this super rare item, because you could go to the wilderness and hunt these bosses with just a rune crossbow and black d'hide, risking 20k. Now, that is not how the wilderness is supposed to be. You should be risking, if you're trying to get really good money per hour and you are only risking 20k, that's a problem. You should be risking more, and you should be able to accumulate loot over time, and always ask yourself, should I leave now with the loot that I've acquired, or should I stay here, make more money, and make my trip more worthwhile, because it takes a long time to travel to this location, and ultimately make more money per hour because I've chosen to stay, while identifying the risk of getting hit and losing all of that money. So I know that was a long tangent, but
I want to bring up the fact that I think it's a great idea that nothing's best in slot. I think that's fantastic. I also think there's still a reason to go out there. And I'm assuming it'll probably give a lot of gold per hour as well. So if I'm assuming, like, if, for example, Armadillo, you could go to Armadillo and get, 10 runite bolts as your drop for the Kree kill, but then you get like the awesome unique. Here, I'm assuming it's more consistent money per hour. Of course, you're getting those shards every single kill, but on top of that, I'm assuming other loot as well. So it's just this constant kind of money making, as well as almost best in slot armor. I like that. I like the fact that you're not forced to go out there, but it is an option, and you would make great money, and it would be still great armor, just not best. I like that.
Yeah, and it could be armor, it could be weapons. It could be...
So these are my thoughts, like, real quickly, and I don't really think about this, so just to preface, a lot of people already know this, I have fully completed the wilderness on my Ironman. Like, I've just gotten every single possible unique, all pets, Eternal Glory. Yeah, it was
oh, damn.
It was fun. I mean, I also got very spoon-fed on the pets. Every single pet I got lucky on out in the wilderness, so that obviously helped time-wise.
Dude, you got the pets. Wow.
Yeah, so I got every single thing out there. But my rev log, however, doesn't show that, although it is completed in my bank. It's just not in the log because it was all before.
But you haven't completed it. It looks like it's going back.
Yeah. So eventually I do gotta go back. God damn it. But sometimes I think uh it's because honestly all of this stems because there are Iron Man game modes. And I have actually been one to say that Iron Man mode was in some ways a detriment to the game because it has actually just actively divided PvP further and further and further because there is zero incentive for an Iron Man to fight back. I mean, there's a tiny little percentage, I guess, which is basically just to have them do less DPS to you, but there's no real reason for you to kill them besides, of course, if you're planning on being a PK build and then you're getting your main to get the loot key and everything like that. But for the most part, when an Iron Man's out there just trying to get their stuff for their Iron Man, there's no incentive to fight back, and there's really it's just a lose-lose situation where for the PKer, they're totally geared, totally ready to fight, and they profit off of you. And I think they're making a change. I don't know if it's already been made. Maybe it already has been made, actually. Yes, it has. I haven't been out in the wilderness in forever. So, but apparently nowadays, if an Iron Man kills you, don't you still get the loot key, but you can just destroy it now? Is that how it works?
Yes, and also you can be killed by your regular account and then
Get that loot key.
Loot the key. Yeah.
Okay. So there is.
So
I'm glad they've done that, by the way. But
yeah, it's awesome. It's great. So I'm going to take a step back from your level of analysis there, and in regards to Iron Man and how maybe they cause more divide in like the PvP community. I really separate Iron Man and PvP in my mind because it's not my focus. My focus, and like if I were to work at Jagex, as I pitch ideas to Jagex, which I do frequently, especially about PvP, my focus is trying to get all that huge marketing potential that exists to promote the game via PvP, such as Torvesta, such as Framed. You know, you have tons and tons of people that are watching PK videos, PvP videos that love that aspect of the game, but it's like there's a huge barrier to entry. I mean, they just can't get into PvP because there's such
like,
a
where do you
large skill
start?
gap.
Yeah.
Where do you start? It's so difficult to get into. And some people may say, well, there's Last Man Standing, which you can do for free, and it's very easy to engage with that and learn how to PK from there. I fully disagree because that is it literally is the highest level of PKing in the entire game. And you're saying that that's a good way to practice? Like, I have a list written. Let me find this of all the things that you need to like focus on when you're in Last Man Standing.
At least you don't have to focus on prayer. That's the one good thing.
Like drinking super restores?
just you have unlimited prayer, which in a real situation, getting smited is a real thing. But in LMS, it's like, I got unlimited prayer. You only have to restore when you just drink a brew. But yeah.
Right.
No, but you're totally right. It is.
So here's what I wrote in a post to Jagex before. So there are no stepping stones in PvP, while PVM does have stepping stones. Look at the skill guide, for example. You can see the next kind of Slayer monster you can attack. You can see like what skills, what unlocks you'll get with your skill guides. But with PvP, what are the stepping stones? What are the ways that you learn how to progress? So LMS and the future PvP arena as it's proposed are tailored for the highest level of gameplay. Players are thrown into a fight where they must balance food, potions, 3 choices of combat style, 3 protection prayers, 3 offensive prayers, freezes, special attacks, DDing, loot chests, fog, and armor swapping. And since most of them don't know how important it is to tweak their HUD, like their small game screen, how to use F keys, and so on, they're dead before they learn a single thing. And people play games to have fun. That's not fun. Like when the wall ahead of you is just impossible to get over, it's insurmountable.
Yeah.
You can't focus on all those things at once, and you need to learn slowly. So PvP has never had that. However, it shows such potential that people are still amazing at it. And for the community that we have, it's extremely promising that people are so interested in PvP because none of them had any good stepping stones that are taught to them by Jagex. If we had a kind of PK NPC, basically something that did an animation to show that it was changing its weapon on you, so you could have a few seconds to change your protection prayer. If it also changed its protection prayer on you, so you had to switch weapons. And if you made different tiers of these PK NPCs, making them more reactive, making them faster to you, making them use 3 combat styles instead of 2 combat styles, you have so much flexibility with how you could make these PK NPCs, and it would also be extremely easy for them. Most of the code already exists through Demonic Gorillas, except for Demonic Gorillas, they don't show you that they're switching their weapons. I mean, you can kind of tell that they're not meleeing you sometimes, but it's not as it should be if you're trying to learn PKing.
Yeah.
So that would be a stepping stone to allow players that, all these players that are interested in PKing, that watch Torvesta, that watch Framed, that would love to engage with that content if they had a stepping stone in order to get to that higher level of gameplay.
Maudalena, I had her on the cast, and she was also talking about this idea of hers, and it sounds kind of like what you have in mind as well, is this idea of fighting an NPC that acts like a PKer, and it just progresses in difficulty. So you have these stepping stones of like the first thing you're focusing on is using your own protection prayers against it, and then you just build upon that. And I thought that was a fantastic idea, because I forget how many hours I've put into this goddamn game, and I just think I'm like, oh, PKing's not that hard, PvP ain't that hard, I've done some LMS, but then you really think, okay, let me take a step back and think of somebody that's only played this game for like 100 hours. I mean, there is so much going on with PvP. You have no idea. Even the tick system alone. I mean, I don't even know how many thousands of hours I played until I fully understood what the tick system is.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot going on. You're right.
I probably played 10,000 hours before I knew how to tick. What's it called? One tick flick.
Yeah.
Can't even say it.
Yeah.
Which I learned through PKing, by the way. I learned how to one tick flick in the beta version of Last Man Standing.
Yeah, the prayer flicking simulator, where you had 10 prayers starting in with a staff or whatever.
Yeah, those were the days, man. Those were the days.
I'm not gonna lie, SparkMac, I was very impressed. I mean, SparkMac's a skilled player. I'm actually impressed. I know he fucks around a lot, but he actually has some raw talent. He was talented at LMS. He dominated.
He definitely, he was really good, super good at that kind of LMS, and had just the strategy he used as well in order to know how to spend his points. He impressed me a lot. He's very, very good at that.
Yeah, he's really good at the game.
I think he was better than me, way better than I was in those days.
Yeah, Bodhi was pretty good as well. Who do you think? I mean, I didn't really watch that much, but who do you think was better, SparkMac or Bodhi? Because I remember watching both of them do those.
Dude, Bodhi was just the king of LMS back in those days. He was getting, I don't know his win rate, but it was freaking crazy, his win rate.
He's just got everything. He's got the strategy. He's got the clicks. He's got the knowledge of how to one tick flick and all that stuff. The smiting.
You're forgetting the most important part is the commentary.
The entertainment as well.
He does something that people can't do, man. Nobody else can do it like him. He has the talent for RuneScape. He's very intelligent with the game, but he's also providing incredibly in-depth, fun commentary while he's doing it.
Yep.
Which, if anybody could do that, then they would. And they would become RuneScape content creators and get to his status. But they can't. He's the only person in the world that does it to the level that he does. And he's having a good time while he's doing it, which is even more impressive.
Yeah, he's great. All right, I want to talk to you about the PvP arena. It's been through a revision or two, potentially. I think all the rewards failed the first time through. So what are your thoughts on PvP arena? I'm not a PvPer. I do try to keep up to date, but I am not as informed as I would like to be. So what are your thoughts on the PvP arena? And that that is replacing completely the Duel Arena, right? The Duel Arena will be gone. Is that my understanding? Is that correct?
Yeah, as I understand it, it's gonna replace it both mechanically and like physically within the game. You know that
Okay.
all those arenas are gonna be gone, and they'll be replaced by whatever kind of venue will be used for the PvP arena. My opinion on the PvP arena is that it is taking a lot of dev time away from actual like things that could bring in those, Torvesta and framed viewers into PvP to basically try to get them to do the highest level of gameplay again. There's no stepping stones into PvP still,
Mm-hmm.
so it's kind of missing that desperately needed aspect of introducing players to PvP because, once again, it's extremely difficult to do, 3 style tri-breeding. However, it is a good solution to the duel arena. I think that having these kind of player run events where players can host their own tournaments and competitions to engage in this the highest level of PvP, that's a very cool thing that I would love to see. I just don't agree with the order in which they're doing things. I still think they can focus a lot on making it just more intuitive and helping players learn how to get into PvP at first. But regardless, they need to come up with a replacement for the duel arena. So this is a good way to replace it. Now, in terms of the rewards are I tried to help develop them and like give my suggestions. They were not well received initially. Like the community just voted no, essentially, to a lot of them. Now, this can be chalked up to spite voting, although that's not entirely it, because as you said before, lots of PvPers have a different vision for what PvP should be.
Yep.
And that manifests in what kind of gear we have access to. So a lot of people a lot of PvPers didn't like those rewards. However, we did see that the ability to imbue like rings and stuff from the PvP arena rewards, that was clearly spite voting. So like even that kind of thing, which obviously should be in the game, obviously players should be able to do the PvP arena and then unlock ring imbues, which has no impact on like, a regular player.
It devalues Nightmare Zone. Come on, man.
Right. It's just ridiculous to vote no to that. Yeah. And so that is clearly spite voting. So we can still see that the spite voting community is very strong in RuneScape. However, frankly, those things would have passed due to the filter that Jagex applied to the people that could vote on that poll. The armors and the ring imbues still should have passed, in my opinion. I don't know what I'm saying right now, but basically, I hope that will. I think it's still considered as one of the things that they're going to implement anyway. They're just not going to look at those poll results, and they're going to add it anyway because it was very clearly spite voting.
So you liked what the rewards were proposed initially because you did have a say in it, and were you satisfied with that? Have you changed your mind at all if that was the case? And so
it's all a balance of, you have to balance all these different things. So you have to balance how good the armor is first and foremost, but then you also have to balance how much risk those carry. Yep. So I was proposing to Jagex, okay, this armor set, the Calamity armor set with the best version of the helms, that is going to be better than like a Carol Aram Toxic Staff set, like, basically your average 60 mil setup that you use in Max Main Wilderness. So what you need to do is make this, if it's going to be better than that, you need to make this a little bit more expensive as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I was proposing that if people want to use that highest level of Calamity set, they should be risking 75 mil, because it's better than that, 60 mil setup with Carols, with Armadillo Crossbow, with Arams or whatever.
Yeah.
So that was my approach to it is that they should make it very, very expensive if they're going to make it better than what currently exists in game.
Yep. Interesting. So I have had this opinion for a little bit, and again, it's not really well thought out, but I personally see the game differently now. There's a lot of examples of people bringing up that the wilderness, we need to bring back what the wilderness was in 2003, like almost 20 years ago. That was the golden age apparently, and that was when it's the same old examples of, green dragons were out there, and then they talk about the whole what do they call it, the food chain or whatever, where a person wants the gold from the green dragons, then somebody kills that, and then the PKer kills the PKer. And I am scared for the future of the game because we are capped simply because when raids weapons come out and other things, new items come out, most of the time they're used in PvP. And at what point are you just going to be able to, already can't you just already KO somebody in one tick at full anglered up? Of course, it's very rare to happen, but it could happen.
You can.
That is going to progress over the years. Think about the next 5 years. There's inevitably going to be weapons that are just fucking busted. So my idea is to kind of divide PvP and the rest of the game somewhat. I'm not saying just completely make them two separate games, but I honestly think at this point, gear, like PvP arena, mini games like that, and just wilderness. My idea is that the wilderness and PvP arena, anything that's PvP related, should be dropping PvP related gear and weapons. And then the rest of the game kind of gives, it increases the ceiling, because if raids items just weren't able to be used in PvP, I know there's going to be a lot of economic effects with this, as in if you get a raids item, PvPers are not going to buy it because it's not going to be able to be used in PvP. But at the same time, you can come out with bigger monsters, better monsters that are just way better, and you're going to have gear that can obviously correlate with those monsters instead of having to balance everything around a 99 HP player. So my idea is to kind of create more division, because not in a bad way, but just give people what they want. Give PvPers want a PvP. They want to kill people. They want to, they don't want to quest and skill and PVM. They hate that stuff. And it goes the opposite. Again, this is very black and white. Just, there's not much nuance to what I'm saying. There's obviously players that do both, but for the majority, a lot of people just don't want anything to do with PvP, and the fact that they have any incentive to go out in the wilderness, they just start hating it, and then it just causes more hatred, I guess, for PvP.
Yeah. So that division has taken place, is manifested in a small way in some items in the game. So, for example, full just assure set effect, which does damage absorption.
Mm-hmm.
It does not work in PvP.
Yeah.
So that's the only way really that Jagex have kind of introduced your idea of making certain things not work in PvP, and maybe PvP items not working in PVM. That's the only one that exists currently. Now, obviously, with the PvP arena rewards that they're proposing, they're trying to make those only work in PvP.
Yeah.
My issue with that is that their number one priority needs to be introducing PvP in the wilderness into the early stages of an average RuneScape player's journey. And how you do that is by making it extremely intuitive and RuneScape is not an intuitive game. You can't make anything about RuneScape intuitive, but you can make it just as intuitive as PVM, or upgrading to a Rune Scimitar or Dragon Scimitar. And if you're going to add a whole nother class of different items that you can only use in PvP,
mm-hmm.
that is going to make a larger barrier to entry into PvP, because people have to learn all these new items, all these new mechanics that they've never tested before in PVM.
Mm-hmm.
You can go test what an Armadillo Godsword does. You see Torvesta go PK with an AGS. You want to go do that? You can go test it on a Varrock Guard. People don't understand how basic of an understanding these people have when they're just starting out in PKing. Like they're so newbie, and everybody was there at one point. The best players in the game were there at one point.
Yep.
And in order to nurture them into a healthy PvP community, we need the barrier to entry to be as low as possible. We need their learning process to start early in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And on that note, kind of somewhat a tangent to that is the Wilderness Slayer activity way back when emblems existed, like back when bounty hunter emblems were dropped from Wilderness Slayer. And then I think there was a little overlap between those emblems and Laron's keys. I'm not sure about that, but at one point, Wilderness Slayer was very lucrative for low level accounts. Like that was really good.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Wilderness Slayer doesn't drop those items anymore, so it's not as profitable as it once was to go do Wilderness Slayer, or for a PKer to go and hunt Wilderness Slayers. That concept of making it so that Wilderness Slayer is like one of the best ways to make money early in the game, that's like such a cool idea. It weaves in this whole passion for Slayer that people have, while simultaneously combining it with the wilderness and the risks associated with that and the reward payoff. So that would be one of the better options, in addition to the PK NPC discussed before, to introduce players into this world of risk and reward and make it part of their average RuneScape journey.
So let me just bring up real quickly Wilderness Slayer. So I've obviously done a lot of Wilderness Slayer. It took me like 550 keys for my full Dagon High. And I had done a lot of Wilderness Slayer even before then, before there was Laren's keys introduced, just because it was fun to get points stacked up, quickly. But
yeah,
there are some downsides to Wilderness Slayer. And I think my biggest gripe with Wilderness Slayer is the Wilderness Slayer cave, that new one. The entire place is multi, including the exits. I mean, even the exits lead into multi. And it became, like, for me, it was like, okay, how can I escape from here? Well, there is no escape. So the only thing you have to do is you got to, like, basically log out at any site of anybody. Just log or teleport, just get the teleport off immediately when you see any white dot. And that ruined the fun. Like, that was honestly the worst thing ever, because then it just becomes this anxiety fest where you're just staring at your mini map and just waiting for somebody to log in. Because if you get attacked, there's no escape, because every thing is multi. Like, you're going to die. It is a 100% guarantee, basically. Except for one time I had a crazy escape. I don't know how I did it, but for the most part, it's 100% you're going to die. And that is a problem, in my opinion. I offered a suggestion to either make, first of all, the exits singles, so that as long as you can leave the cave, you're good, or to make some of the hallways have some element of singles in it. So there's like, I don't know. I don't know what could really help that issue. They also, PvP Arena originally was introducing this sort of potion that would thaw you. It was like a thaw potion or something. I offered some advice on something that could actually make that thaw potion useful, and my idea was to only let it be used in multi. So instead of it causing this problem with a PKer fighting a PKer and it's a 1v1 in singles plus, these thaw potions would be used if you're in a multi situation and you're trying to escape, and then you get these potions that would obviously be taking up your food with inventory space, but you'd have a higher chance of evading them because you could just use these thaw potions, and there wouldn't be a crazy cooldown either. There could be some sort of cooldown, or it could just be like one dose for the entire potion. So if you wanted to unfreeze yourself multiple times, you'd have to obviously bring like 5 or 6. I thought that was a great idea, because right now in multi, when you're doing Slayer alone, it feels so unfair, like so incredibly unfair. The risk versus reward, like the risk is 100% you die, and the reward is like negligible compared to the risk. It's way too skewed, in my opinion. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Other tasks are just way worth doing compared to the ones in the Wilderness Slayer Cave?
Well, the Wilderness Slayer Cave did have those LMS drops, and they did have an increased of Lauren's keys, but like it just sucks when there's no escape. It's like you get tele blocked, well, you're dead. There's no even trying to fight it. There's 4 people on you. It's just over. And that sucks when you just feel completely taken advantage of. Like there's nothing you can do, basically. So that was my main issue.
Did you find yourself able to get into the pathways, or did you just die instantly, or were you able to
You could
run
run for a
bit?
little bit, but it was like, oh, you get your 5-tick window of running, and you're instantly frozen again. And then
Gotcha.
you're just getting owned because it was guaranteed there's 4 people on you. That's how people PK in there. Very, very rarely there was only 1 or 2 people. It was most of the time 4 people hopping. And of course your cannon can be seen from like across the world map. Like so you can see if a cannon's rotating. So people can see you before you ever see them. So they're all planning there. Which is, that's a tactic. That's fair for the most part. My issue was you just have to telly every single time you see any dot. It's just telly. It's like that is so boring because there's no real escape route. It's like I feel like that needs to
Yeah,
be looked at.
I agree with you. I think that there could be a better way to design the multi and single way zones,
Mm-hmm.
and it would take a lot of knowledge on how to balance that properly from a PKer's perspective, from a PVMer's perspective. I would have to give more thought to it to propose any kind of good solution.
Yeah.
Something resembling a good solution would take me some time to think about. But I agree with you that that is boring that you just have to watch the mini map and telly out whenever you see someone. There should be a way for you to actually engage in the content. For example, if you were to get attacked, that could be more fun as long as you knew it wasn't 100% guaranteed of death,
Yeah.
guaranteed chance. Like you could have some fun in the thrill of the escape if trying to escape,
Yep.
even if you die eventually, you had hope.
Yeah.
But when it's just 4 people on you at once, I agree that can be discouraging, and you're much more likely to just teleport out anyway. You're much more likely, and the PKers, they don't want you to think that you're 100% going to die,
Yep.
because that means that you are going to be looking at the minimap the entire time and telling out before they ever get to you.
Exactly.
So
And then that
just
becomes a worse thing for them because then it just becomes more of a hop simulator.
exactly, they're just hopping the entire time because people are trained that they cannot survive if they don't pay attention to the minimap.
Yeah.
And so you're
So
not really engaging with each other in that way.
one of the ideas, and there might be some downsides to this. I can't think of any. I would love to hear if you just have any on the top of your head. But I'm not going to lie. That thaw potion, I think, is a great thing as long as it can only be used when you're in a multi area. So, of course, the people that are ganging up on somebody is never going to have a use for that. But the person that has 4 people on them, if you got some thaw potions on you, you can get frozen and pretend like you don't have any. All of a sudden, people are about to come in with you at the AGS and you unfreeze and start running, and then they have to re-equip their mystics. There could be more strategy through thaw potions as long as they're multi only, because I know there's drastic negative effects if it's in singles, if just everywhere. I think that's a great solution. I also think potentially, so I want multi to thrive. I think multi zones should thrive. I think there should actually be. I'm a advocate for potentially just bringing back multi revs or an area of it that's more risky but more rewarding. Just so multi has their area, because I agree with you. Multi doesn't have really any place right now that has a great hotspot. But that Wildy Slayer cave, you're not doing Slayer with a team. I mean, it's a solo activity. So I really think that cave, maybe I love the fact that you can kill the monsters in multi, but what if there was a way that you just maybe it's still singles? And I know that's just promoting more singles PKing, but damn. 4 people versus 1 person that's in PVM gear is just so boring and so just annoying.
Yeah, that is annoying. I was thinking, and like I said, I don't have a solution, but and I like that idea, for the record, of the thaw potion only working in multi. I think the problem with that is that people, I don't know, there are a lot of unintuitive things in this game, and that is another one. It's like, hey, this thing, it unfreezes you, but also you can only use it in multi. Is there
Yeah.
like a lore? Is there a lore reason behind that? Like, I would like to know if there's a lore reason behind,
Yeah.
like why, you know?
Mhm.
Um, so it's one thing that's not intuitive, but something that I was thinking about was that you could have the spots themselves where you kill the monsters in multi, but then the pathways are single or something. So if you do make it to the pathways,
Yeah.
you can um, maybe escape.
I think that would be great. Is like the room is multi, the hallways are singles. Um, it that also becomes somewhat of a problem. Although then there's strategy for both, because then it's like, okay, the team of 4. I'm just always bringing up a team of 4. They have the potential to, okay, we got to get in there and hit hard and fast right now because they're only in multi for that little window. So there's strategy on both ends, and then it's also just a little bit more viable for the PVMer to escape. Because let's be honest, the PVMer in the Slayer Cave is never going to be fighting back. It's just pointless. It's like, ugh. You're just sitting
Yeah,
there with your
definitely.
Vigora's chain mace, just taking it. Just like,
Yeah,
damn.
I agree. And Jagex, they often talk about how, well, I'm not sure what they're, basically my impression is that they want to enable fighting back, like make it easier to fight back.
Mm-hmm.
But you're never gonna fight back when you have a Vigora's chain mace on you, like, or a
Exactly.
crossbow.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, actually, with the crossbow you can, but yeah, it's just, it's not realistic
Mm-hmm.
in most cases.
Yeah, what if they did come out with like, they kind of revisited the whole weapons, PvP weapons that are good in PvP and in PVM in the wilderness. So then it's like you have your crossbow that's actually good against fighting PKers, like actually good, not just decent like an MSB, but that could
Right.
open up some
And
options. But yeah,
they need a KO weapon. Like Vigora's chain mace needs to be able to spec
yeah,
and hit like as much as it does against against revenants.
yeah. Did you see Torvesta's video of him using full Torva with the Rev boss
That was sick.
thing? He was hitting 92s
That was
with a
sick.
4-tick weapon. Oh my gosh, dude! Like,
Yeah, that's really cool. I like that a lot.
yeah, that's just so dirty to just be smacking that hard. Um, yeah. So there is a lot of stuff with PvP, and unfortunately, people just have different views of it. Even, I mean, every single PvPer has a different view of what they want, and it's just tough.
I think a lot of us agree that there needs to be more reason to do PvP. I think we can all, that's like common ground,
Yeah. And
because it makes no, it's like inverse of what should be true. So safe zones have 3 times the profitability when it should be the opposite way around. Danger zones should be 3 times more profitable because you're in dangers, like you're risking your stuff, you
yeah.
know?
And again, like just going back to the Ironman argument, like again, like it's just a really tough thing because in a world where we just never had any Iron Man modes, yeah, I mean everybody's fair game. Everybody can benefit off killing another player, and you got that. And of course, there's still a tons of players. The majority of players are still mains. I'm almost positive, um, not
Yeah.
including the bots, because of course all bots are mains. But if you didn't even include the bots, I'm almost certain that most players are still mains. But you have that large percentage that are still Ironmen that just benefit nothing from it. So it's just tough to really encourage going out there when you're
Well,
just the prey.
yeah, they are just, I mean, not really anymore, because if they do kill their opponent, then they
At least
can loot
delete
their
their
money
yeah,
on another account through loot keys.
or at least delete
So
their stuff if they're just like don't have an alt.
yeah, they could delete their stuff, but if you PK someone and your loot key's worth like 20 mil, and you're an
Might as
Iron Man,
well.
and
Yeah.
yeah, because that happens. There
Yeah.
are noobs that go out with 20 mil, and if an Iron Man has played the game for a long time and is more experienced, then they could potentially kill that guy that's a noob, and get that 20 mil. So
That's
I don't
true.
think there's no recourse for Ironmen.
That's true.
At the same time, I don't focus on that because Ironmen are such a small portion of the game, and they aren't necessarily like if we're focused on marketing and the largest funnel of prospective PKers and PvPers, they're not the current Iron Man. Like I'm not focusing on trying to get them to PK. I'm trying to focus on uh, the people that have maybe played one LMS game, maybe watched like every Torvesta video, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm focused on those regular players who are more like casual.
That's totally
Like
fair.
Syndicate, he's a much more dedicated player than most. But if you know the kind of player that I'm targeting and trying to get interested in PvP, that's who I would want to get interested in PvP. Syndicate, because he streams RuneScape. He has a really good regular account now, but he doesn't do PvP, and he's clearly interested in it because he watches RuneScape Chronicles. He watches all of Torvesta's videos, stuff like that. And I want to make stepping stones for him to have more interest in it.
That's a good point. There is a huge player base that just doesn't PvP because they just have never had that introduction to it. I actually want to talk about RuneScape Chronicles now that you mentioned it because I gotta say, RuneScape Chronicles, it's for those that don't know, and I'll have you explain it as well, but it's pretty much like a RuneScape highlights that's very well edited, very fast paced, and just to the point. It's great. There's great commentary, and it's just really well done. So I want to just say I'm a huge fan. It's sick what you're doing. And I want to kind of get into your mind a little bit about what inspired you to make that. And because I'm not going to lie, again, I said this on my previous ramble, but no shade to any other highlight creators. I mean, Behemoth, I love Behemoth to death, and he's the OG, but RuneScape Chronicles, I'm not going to lie,
Thank you very much.
It has potential to be like the GOAT where it comes to highlights. So I want to hear how it started, where it's going, and just everything in between.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, first of all. And I can't accept those compliments without giving credit to who deserves it, which is primarily my amazing, probably the best RuneScape editor that's available, John MP4. He's also a beast at the game. Like he's one of the top raider, like Theater of Blood. He just is insanely skilled at this game. I think a lot better than I am when it comes to PVM. And he also is definitely one of the best editors I've ever had the pleasure of meeting. So combining our talents, that has resulted in what we're trying to create as just a really entertaining community channel for everybody to enjoy. But yeah, his work is amazing, as you've noticed.
Oh, yeah.
He does really great edits, and he just kind of knows, he knows RuneScape. He knows how to present a good story. And so I really rely on him. So how it started was I wanted to, a lot of my inspiration in the game, like I said, I started a Soul Soldier, like an Iron Man, after Bodhi started his one-man army series. I made YouTube videos about that, uploaded like 4 of those videos before I got, bogged down with schoolwork and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But my inspiration for the community channel was largely like Chris Archie videos back in the day.
Yeah.
Chris Archie prods, what he would upload like maybe 2 or 3 videos per day of epic highlights that happen in the game. Well, it could be epic, it could be funny, it could be just crazy luck or something. And those were so enjoyable to me. It was like crack cocaine. I'd come back from school every day, just get a big high from watching his videos. And I would I'm not even kidding. I remember vividly refreshing the YouTube page for another one of his videos. And I just loved them so much. And so his videos were like huge inspiration for me. And I wanted to do offer that same kind of thrill and adventure that I had when watching his videos and bring those to 2022 RuneScape. So what I did was I asked John MP4 like probably a year ago, hey man, do you want to make this community channel with me? It'd be like consistent uploads. Um, and he said that would be really exciting for him. He would be excited to do like consistent type work. And it took a long time for me to, because I had a lot of in real life stuff going on. I was moving around a lot. Like I moved around a lot in the last year.
Mm-hmm.
And also I was focused on my main channel, KempQ. So I couldn't just like, throw everything away and start work on the community channel and do that at that time. But it was kind of like a slow cooking. We finally got like the assets we needed. We finally had a vision of how we would uh, curate the clips and assemble everything. And yeah, we got all the graphics designed for the channel. So like the logo, we got the background, we got the intro made as well. I spent probably 20 or 30 hours like figuring out how to do the intro, what kind of music to use. I asked all my friends what they thought the best music would be. I asked like Framed and Goody and like Sir Pugger, I think, tons of people how to make the most entertaining community channel, because that was the goal.
Yep.
And so it was like cooking for like a good 8 months. I'm not gonna lie, it took a long time, but eventually we got to a state where, all right, this is it. I'm gonna start making these videos in April. And John said that was good. We're gonna get started. And so we started, I think, like somewhere around April 20th or so. And honestly, like I thought, I have 230,000 subs on KempQ. I thought more of them would be instantly engaged in RuneScape Chronicles, and like I was arrogant about it. Honestly, like it was a lesson in humility for me to understand that I have to earn the, the success. I have to earn the success again on a new channel. So with the first video, I think we got like 1,000 views in the first day or something. Which, yeah, that it was less than what I expected.
Not what you were
like,
anticipating. Yeah.
Because I was promoting it a lot too. Like, I'm not just saying, it's not like I put a little effort into it. We put a lot of effort into it, both John and I collectively.
Yeah.
And then it was, initially it wasn't as successful, but then, I got humble, and I'm actually grateful that I got low reviews in the beginning, because that gives me opportunities to learn how to improve the quality of the production.
Yeah.
So I can identify where we went wrong with each video, and instead of having a ton of success at the first video, and then if I kept that same quality, probably go down in viewership. That's the worst case scenario. You don't want to be having things go wrong and then not know what is going wrong. So what we've done in the last month and a half is consistently try to produce better quality every single video in order to earn the right to a following, in order to earn the right to people's attention. And so I think we're doing that successfully. Because based on the numbers and based on, the flattering compliments you've given me today, I think we're doing that. We're getting better and better every time. Yeah. And we're not going to stop. We're going to keep trying to provide the best quality entertainment for old school RuneScape. And we'll do that with humility. We'll do that through a lot of effort. And eventually we'll get to a stage where this channel might actually be profitable for me. Because because John MP4, his talents are premium talents,
Yep.
Although I will talk him up a little bit more, because he's not charging me his usual like full rate, because he wants to kind of like buy his stake in the channel, which I really appreciate. So like over time, I'm gonna obviously ramp up how much he makes, because if the channel makes more, he deserves more, of course. Like, and that, I think that's the best way to run any kind of project. All of you have ties to the success of the channel, and he definitely has those ties now. You know, like if he had asked me for full rate before, I could say, hey man, this guy, he does it for cheaper. And there would be no, like, he couldn't have any hard feelings about that because, you know, he wasn't buying his stake in the channel. But now,
Yeah.
because he's asking for a little less, or probably a lot less, I'm not sure how much he intends to make. We still have to have that conversation.
It's
Then
still
he's
cool
buying
though.
him. Yeah, it's amazing. So it's going well.
I think that's so cool that you guys just have been working on this. It's been under wraps kind of for like a year, getting it all centered and just continue. Like the fact that your goal is to continue this, I'm assuming for multiple years or longer.
Yeah,
I think that's just
definitely.
fantastic because seriously, Spark Mac Live and Chris Archie Prods, I mean, those were the channels, you know, like that is what you watch to get your scoop of daily RuneScape, you know, like, so if you're a busy person, you watch that, you see what's going on in the community, you see what's new, you see like some crazy clips. And, you know, I know you might be embarrassed of me continuing to praise this, but I mean, your commentary is fantastic. It reminds me of
Thank you.
Chris Archie Prods, where it's just, I mean, Chris Archie had like no. It was like it almost appears as though it's monotone, but it's not because there's clearly some. There is, I don't know. It's something about the voice, and I think you have the perfect voice for it. It's very concise. You're not trying to flex your own agenda or anything. You're just stating it how it is. You're having a little bit of a narrative throughout it all, and it's just fantastic. So keep up the great work, and I'm sure that is going to explode because any sort of highlight channel people love, and when it starts catching on, it grows big time. So, and you've already seen it.
Thank you. Yeah, we just had our most successful video uploaded. It's like ranked 1 out of 10, and I'm very pleased with it.
Let's go.
It's great. One thing that I'll mention is that we try to get approval from every single creator that we feature. We don't want to put people's faces up there or their content without consent. So we have like this whole roster. We collect all these names, and whoever we decide we want to feature, we ask them if we can feature them. And oftentimes it's after the fact because frankly, I don't have time to like beforehand go ask literally like 200 streamers
and hope they
There are tons of
respond
streamers.
within the next few hours.
Exactly. Like we have this amazing clip, and if they want us to remove it, then we will. We absolutely will. What we find and why I don't lose any sleep over this is because the smaller creators that I don't already have relationships with, they want to be featured. You know, like we give them that exposure that Chris Archie Chris Archie and he basically exposed me to tons of streamers that I watch now.
Yep.
And one thing we pride ourselves on is crediting the streamers and blowing up their Twitch. Like I said, I watch Twitch a lot. I love Twitch, and to be able to promote streamers on Twitch, like especially people that I like, that I watch myself, it's really, really awesome for me. And my hope is, and I haven't seen this yet, but my hope is that some smaller streamers grow as a result of featuring their content. I genuinely really want that. I think that would be, for me, that would be super gratifying. It would mean that I'm doing the right thing. I mean, it'd be really cool to see that.
Yeah. And that just inevitably happens. We already saw it with Behemoth. I mean, Behemoth started his highlight channel, and yeah, almost nobody ever says, don't feature me. Like, don't do that. Like, everybody wants to be featured. If you're a streamer, you want to be featured. I mean, that is like the goal, is to get exposure. So yeah, a lot of people, even for my own self, I mean, I consider myself a medium-sized streamer, and when I was growing, like in the earlier stages, people would come into my stream and say, hey, I saw you on Behemoth. Like, hell yeah, that's a great feeling that you're getting exposure from outside of your own stream or content. So
absolutely
fantastic.
Yep.
Okay.
And it really helps that I have relationships with, like, because I talk to a lot of content creators. Like, I really enjoy, meeting the people that I watch their content. So it really helps that I've already had relationships with tons of these people to ask them, hey, can we feature your stuff? Because they know who I am. I'm not going to mischaracterize what they say. I'm not going to lie about their content. Because, you know, maybe that happens. Maybe that has happened to them before. Maybe from that old like RuneScape Moments highlights channel. That guy was well, let's say this nicely. There's no nice way to say it. He was an asshole, is what he was. Like, I don't know if you watched from like 3 years ago. Solo Mission asked him, "Hey, please don't feature my content," and he just replied to Solo like, "I'm gonna continue featuring your content."
What the fuck?
Like, just like the most insensitive, just
Jeez.
like super rude, and that's why his channel was demonetized. Was because he got reported by so many content creators for using their clips without permission. And it wouldn't have happened if he had just replied to Solo Mission nicely and said no.
Yep.
That guy would probably still be prominent and getting 100,000 views a video, because he was getting 100,000 views a video, probably making like 6 figures a year.
Yep. And he got arrogant.
The problem with him was he's an asshole, and people don't like that. So yeah, he got demonetized, and my goal is to produce better production quality than him and also be not an asshole. That's the goal.
It's just that consistency as well. As soon as you become that regular channel of your regular scoop of OSRS, it just grows so fast. Everyone starts talking about it. Everyone starts, like, we've seen it multiple times throughout the years. Everybody that starts a highlight channel, like, they pop off quickly. And as long as you're consistent with them, and, you know, yours is different than all the other channels, by the way, because yours is actually very well edited. Most of them are just put the clips in, add a little bit of random stuff, done. But yours is very well edited, so you got that over everybody else, in my opinion.
What John MP4 does is he actually, even though the sound effects aren't available in the VOD, because they're taken away from clips, like all the music, all the sound effects is taken away by Twitch, he adds the like Armadillo Godsword special attack in there.
Oh,
isn't that crazy?
Dope. See, that's the stuff you don't even think of, and it just adds a little bit more to it. You can tell the production value's higher.
It's really cool.
Okay, we have not even touched we've kind of touched on some of the Twitter topics just briefly because of the things we've talked about, but I want to cover a few. A asks, what do you usually do when you log on RS? Like the average
good
day.
question.
I guess like as of recent.
Okay, recently I've been focused on putting out videos, so such as RuneScape Chronicles, and then I put out a video about the evolution of gambling yesterday. So what I've been doing on RuneScape is basically just last man standing. Like, I log in, I play a few games of last man standing, and that's because I'm mostly focused on producing content right now. I'm at a stage in my life where in real life, I'm focused on like making sure my body is healthy, doing a lot of exercise, and I have dedicated, that's a sacrifice. I don't get to play as much RuneScape as I used to. Or as much as I want to even. I'd like more hours in the day to be able to do that, but I've also started dating recently.
Congratulations.
So, thank you very much. Yep. So in the morning I wake up, I go on a run, I come back, I make a protein shake, drink half of it, go to the gym, do my workout, finish my protein shake, probably have some eggs or beef or something. Then I take a shower, then I get to work, probably like making more videos, doing narration, writing scripts, working on the community channel. And then I have all my RuneScape Chronicles obligations done, usually by like 12 p.m. And then I send everything off to John MP4. He edits the video per like my narration and instructions and guidance that I've given. And then he edits it, he assembles it, he renders it, uploads it, and then I take a look at it, I review it. This is probably like, 4 hours later or so while I'm working on other projects. Then I review it, I ask him for edit requests, he makes those edits, and then we usually upload that RuneScape Chronicles video about like 5-6 p.m. EST. And then like many days, I just I'm out. I'm doing stuff with friends or going to see my girlfriend. So honestly, I've been very busy with in real life. So those few last man standing games that I get in between, my daily schedule, I enjoy those a lot, and I wish I had more time to play. But like as of the last few months, I just really haven't been playing as much as I used to.
Yep. Yeah, that's interesting how that kind of happens. I've had my own little phase of, I mean, I'm turning 27 next week, and
Hey,
I'm
happy
just,
birthday!
thank you. It's crazy because your body, like you were saying, I mean, you hit an age where you're like, okay, I can't just eat whatever I want and feel great anymore. You could as a kid and you could in your early 20s, but then you're like, okay. And it's nice getting
Yeah,
into that healthy routine, breaking those bad habits, getting into some better habits. But yeah, you're totally right. It totally takes away from your time playing RuneScape. I remember just like when I first started content creation, I mean, I was trying to stay physically fit, but it eventually, if you don't focus on it and you don't care as much about it, you just start putting in way more hours in RS and you're like, it's fine for the moment. And then you start realizing, all right, this is not leading me mentally in a good place or physically in a good place. So then, yeah, you do have to sacrifice some of your gaming time to make yourself happier and more productive and more, I don't know,
yeah,
well-rounded.
it's part of growing up. Growing up means, and like being a man, it means that you know what sacrifice you're going to pick, because you do have to pick a sacrifice, and that happens in all kinds of ways in your life. But one way for me, which is, it's not a big deal. I play RuneScape for a little less time per day. But, I know what I need to do in order to feel good, be healthy, um, have a long and fulfilling life. And
Yep.
that is to focus more time, invest in myself, invest in exercise, invest in self grooming, um, and just like make sure that I'm content with myself before I escape into a game world.
Yeah.
It's like,
No, totally
so,
right. You're totally right though.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I know I'm right. Yeah,
No, but you can't understand it when you're early 20s. Like when I was early 20s, like 21, 22, 23, it's like, I don't care about your stupid rules. Like I'm going to do what I enjoy. And then you're like, okay, no, actually I am not going to live forever and I need to I need to do stuff for myself that's going to lead me for, a good future. So, I'm happy for
yeah,
you. I'm happy that you
and
discovered that
thank you. And
earlier
for the
rather than
record,
later.
this only came up recently in my life where I felt, I don't know, man. I just needed what I needed was what I got. What I got was a stable apartment, and like I felt like there was no reason not to take action in the ways that I knew I should always take action. Take action in terms of my exercise, in terms of what I was eating, stop ordering takeout, cook my own
Yep.
meals. And there was no longer any excuses that I had for not doing those things. I felt like I was in a good position, and it all aligned at once where 2.5 months ago, I was like, okay, I'm going to go start running because I picked out this apartment because it's right next to a trailhead, and I can just literally just walk out my apartment and go start running.
That's sick.
Um, and so what I did was I started running. I could only run 0.3 miles. I'm not
Yep. And
kidding.
then you just
I could run 0.3 miles. That's the furthest I could run. And I found like a benchmark, like a milestone, like a bench or a signpost or something. And that's how I knew how far I could run.
hmm
And then the next day I would run on the same trail and run just a little bit further than that bench. And then the next day I would do the same thing, run just a little bit further, a little bit further. I did this for basically 60 consecutive days. And eventually, and on the 60th day, and there were some times where I literally just couldn't run that day for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Um, but on the 60th day, I ran 3.2 miles. And like that just gradual process, the knowledge, the humility to accept, holy crap, I'm out of shape. I could only run 0.3 miles, and I
Yep.
had to be so humble and realize how useless I was. And then tomorrow think, well, tomorrow, like the best case scenario is me running 0.4 miles. Like, Jesus, I'm such a helpless piece of shit. It's just like like a useless sack of crap. But then I did it. I did it anyway. And it was the gradual progress that brought me to a stage where, I can run a 5K race now. Whereas 2 months ago, there was no chance.
It's cool. It's cool seeing that progression. And it's also really cool to finally realize that you're in full control of your body. Like, you get to decide.
Not full control, but I know what you mean.
Yeah. Well, there are some things that are just genetics and you just can't do anything. But like physically, you have so much control of your body that you probably, if you're in a lazy state where you're not doing much, it almost feels like you don't have much control when you're just kind of enslaved to your own horrible habits. Like, I had a horrible DoorDash habit. I was ordering DoorDash every goddamn day, it felt like.
Yeah.
And it was just this,
Me
like,
too.
it was just a habit. It was just like, just do it. I'm not gonna go buy a bunch of groceries and have all the produce go to waste. It was like this horrible mindset that I just couldn't get out of. And so once you start to understand, hey, I can control a lot more in my life than I'm giving myself credit for, it starts feeling really good. And it just gives you a lot more confidence as well, just in everything.
Yeah, definitely. I'm super confident. I mean, I've always been able to, talk to people and feel confident about myself when I'm with people. But when I'm alone, I think that's when confidence is most important. Like, because there's nobody to lie to other than yourself.
Yeah.
And you're able to be a confident person alone with your thoughts. That is the most powerful thing. And for me, that is much more the case than it was before. Like, I feel very comfortable being alone and just I have more confidence. And it's as a result of taking all these steps to improve my life, not just with exercise and diet, but just other ways of accepting my faults and trying to improve.
Very cool. Okay. Zout asks if you were... Okay, he said, if you could snap your fingers and remove one type of bot farm from the game, which would it be and why?
Ooh. I really don't like the gambling advertisers. So that's my answer. I would remove those advertisers.
Yeah, yeah. That would probably be me too. I have an ignored list of, let me just look at 395 out of 400 people, and I'm pretty sure half of those are just like LMS or GE. Actually, 75% are LMS or GE. Just me ever going around there, I just ignore. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's tragic.
Yeah. I mean, I have like 30 names here, but they're just POG with a number. POG 091,
no.
POG. It's just all advertising for that fake pink clay Infernal Cape.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of LMS,
yeah,
we fought each other before, didn't we? Like a few weeks ago?
we did, and you beat me.
Sit down.
You beat me because I didn't, or yeah, I'm not gonna give excuses.
Oh, it was a barrage. It was, I think, a 32 barrage.
It was a 32 barrage. And I was like, I'm not gonna eat. That'll be fine. No, good fight though.
Yeah, that was a good fight.
You know what? I really wish that I could just have, and I know this is very hard to ever happen. First of all, the worlds are really bad lately, and if a world goes above like 700 pop, it's just like awful to play on.
Yeah.
But I really wish I could play LMS on my preferred world, because I'm always on a UK world. It's always the most laggy thing of all time. The inventory's been scuffed for over a month now, and it's like, I don't feel in my element when I play LMS. I have to anticipate everything like a second and a half before anything happens, and it's like, ugh.
Yeah, I agree. It's brutal, man. It's brutal.
It is.
Okay.
Okay.
It's another reason why we need PK NPCs.
Yeah, imagine that being on just perfect. Imagine even offline where you have just like there's zero ping. It's just everything goes.
Oh yeah.
Imagine
Definitely.
how great that would be. I know
I will
Bodhi.
add one.
Sorry,
Oh,
go
no,
ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say Bodhi was mentioning that. Imagine like an offline sort of thing, or just some way you could just get 0 ping. So there's no excuses. Just both.
That'd be insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. A little tangent about the PK NPCs. I should have brought it up earlier, but
Go for it.
basically the idea that I proposed, I actually created a full quest for the PK NPCs that ties into the lore of RuneScape and Guthix. And the goal would be to have these PK NPCs. You need to kill like one of them or 3 of them for the quest. And then they're only found in the wilderness, and they drop like these consistent rewards that are like divine shards or whatever, or like Forentry shards. And then they are made to assemble like these cool items that I made. But I'm not going to leak those items like or the quest lore right now.
Yeah.
Because I actually got a response from a JMod that looked cool. They didn't say much beyond that, but they said it was a cool idea and they might look into it. So if it comes out in the game, I don't want to spoil the quest for anybody.
See,
that
is interesting. So on top of just a practice bot, have a bot that acts like a PvPer at your fight, and you actually get loot from it. Like, that's a really kind of neat idea. Although I'm a little scared about it because I remember playing PUBG back in college on mobile, and my first experience with it, I was like, oh, I killed 7 people. I was like, now they're just bots. And then I was like, okay, I despise killing bots. They're so predictable. You know what they're doing. Like, ugh. But I'm not going to lie. Beginning, that's got to be very helpful. If it's just like a medium bot. And it has decent AI.
They could make them as easy or at like the most challenging, basically impossible to kill thing ever.
Like those
they have complete
Terminators.
flexibility. Yeah. They can do those. They can do that.
I'm not going to lie. So even if they were to design something that's just running around all the time in these weird patterns and doing perfect 0-tick switches into barraging and all this stuff, it's kind of cool in a way that you could still beat them just because of RNG. Like, you just get something. They could have horrible RNG, you have some good RNG, and then you just feel like a beast for killing a Terminator. But yeah, you're totally right. Having that difficulty scale, watching like West Ham or somebody just going against a Terminator that's just super advanced, see how many waves you can go through it. Like, that'd be kind of cool.
Ooh, yeah. I wasn't thinking of it in terms of waves. I was thinking of like
just a one-time encounter.
Yeah, just like they die and then they die. They don't like upgrade their ability. I was thinking like 3 tiers of NPCs. So you'd kill like a level 40 that was super, only used like mage and range instead of all 3 combat styles. It reacts very slowly to your switches, stuff like that. And then maybe like level 70, then maybe like a level 100 or something. That was the idea. But I like your idea too.
What do you think about like I don't really know. I've always thought, and I'm not really into PvP as much, but I really do think what would be fun is like a mini game where it's like a 3v3. Just 3 people versus 3 people, but it acts as, I think what happens right now with the PK skull prevention is if you were to barrage a person that attacked you and they're next to another person that didn't attack you, the barrage would only attack the person that attacked you. It would just, even if the barrage was in the area, it wouldn't attack anybody else. Like, it would prevent you from getting skulled. At least that's what I think it does. That's what JMods have told me.
The PK skull prevention thing?
Yeah, as long as that's on, if there were 2 people underneath each other and only one of them had attacked you, and if you barrage that guy, the barrage would only attack that guy, even if it was in multi.
Right. Yeah, I think that's right. Yep.
So I think what would be really cool is to have like 3v3s in this small arena that are just super tactical, super strategic. It acts kind of like that PK prevention where you can't barrage your own teammate, even if you're in a multi and they're under the clump. So like
Castle Wars or Clan Wars.
Yeah, like that, except I just feel like that's not prevalent enough. Like, do people even do that? I never see people doing like 3v3. It's always just 1v1s in Clan Wars, it looks like.
So you want to see stakes, like something to win?
Something like stakes, or even potentially...
Sounds like PvP Arena.
Is that what it is? Is it 3v3s and stuff? I thought it was...
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay, that is so dope. That is exciting.
I'm almost certain That's what they said.
Okay,
And
what about this now? This is my last idea. Did you ever play like 007 on GameCube and stuff where you're just facing a bunch of bots with your friends, like on
I
split
played
screen?
Eagle Eye.
Okay, I played Nightfire. That was the one that was just so dope. We would have 6 super advanced bots, and we'd be 4 of us at a base, and it's just the most terrifying thing of all time because you basically got like
It is,
6
yeah.
Terminators against you.
That
But
sounds fun.
I think if they got a good enough AI, which I mean, clearly they have the potential to, because Sir Pugger already showed one person that made a Terminator basically script. But if they made a Terminator script, what would be so cool is to have like a war against them. You have 3 players versus 3 Terminators.
That'd be awesome.
And
I will say,
yeah,
they don't need AI at all. Like,
really?
there's no. That's just redundant. It's so easy to make a team Terminator without AI.
Really?
Yeah.
Even
I mean,
the one
think
that
about it,
roams the wilderness and just chooses where to go, like completely automated.
Well, I still don't think they would use AI for that.
Okay. Maybe I'm just
No.
I am not a professional, or I'm not experienced in AI. I just assume that anything that's doing its own thing and kind of reacts to certain things is AI, but maybe that's not.
Well, all you have to do is like program it. If opponent is praying range, then use melee on them.
So
It's like,
the thing where the AI would be introduced is when it's a 3v3. So you got 3 Terminators that now have strategy to pick on one person, basically. Like, we want to eliminate this person. We want to eliminate this person. So, like, I feel like there just is so much more going on than a 1v1 would be. You know what I mean?
yeah, it would take a lot of data in order to train that artificial intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
And Jagex will never do that. They'll never create like a large sample size from
Yeah.
which to train that against players. And players you'd never have enough data from players participating in that for them to
Start improving and stuff.
basically do it. Yeah, basically because you need to do like tens of thousands of iterations for the bots to start understanding how to become more challenging, how to win against the opponents. There's so much data that is needed that, and I don't even know if Jagex has experience with AI.
Yeah.
So I doubt that would ever happen. I know that the Jack Mob has experience with AI. I know that he's done that before, but he is not working at Jagex currently, so he would be no help.
Interesting. Okay.
But you also wouldn't need it. It'd be completely redundant.
Yeah. Again, I'm very ignorant toward AI, but I just think something where you're facing 3 Terminators, even if it was like 6v3, awesome. You got like 3 Terminators that can actually like hold their own against two pros. Like, that'd be so sick to watch. And then
that would be awesome.
And then at that point, you can actually introduce rewards. Because when it's like a player versus a player, it becomes abusable, where you're just like, oh, just have that player die and you get the reward for it. But like here, it's like, no, you actually have to fight this NPC that's acting like a player. And then you can get handsomely rewarded when you win. I think that'd be fun.
That would be really fun. Yeah.
Okay. We got some meme questions. Seki asks, is John MP4 a sussy baka? I'm actually scared to even say it. I don't know what that means at all. Do you have any idea?
Man, he wanted to keep it secret, but unfortunately he is.
What is that?
No idea.
But he is.
I don't, yeah, but he is, I guess. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have to, you might have to pull this up because I don't want to leak it, but 42 is asking, how many syllables are in LOPSE? I'm not going to say his name because...
I think it's 2.
Yeah, it's Lopsy.
Lopsy?
Yeah, a lot of people call him Lops.
I did call him Lops when on the first time he was featured on the RuneScape Chronicles channel. I called him Lops.
Oh, that's so dumb. That's probably why he's bringing it up, huh?
Yeah, that is why. Yeah.
That's funny. Okay. Madam Mage asks, where is your favorite spot in RuneScape? If I could get 99 combat stats, would you 1v1 me in the wildy? And do you dismiss the sandwich lady in game? For those that don't know, Mata Mage is the iconic cosplayer of the sandwich lady.
That's
So,
right.
yeah.
That's right. So let's do those one at a time. My favorite place in RuneScape. Oh man, that's hard, man. I'd have to say probably like Drainer Village Bank.
Ooh, that's iconic.
Yeah, because remember that, like I remember the first time I did that cut scene with the wise old man where he robs the bank. Sorry for the spoiler,
God damn
but
it.
you can do that only once per account. You can never see that cutscene ever again, and it's such a cool cutscene to see the wise old man like infiltrate the bank, kill everyone, take the blue party hat, and yeah, just a really cool cutscene. I remember watching that back in like 2007, 2008 or something, and you can still watch it, I think, but
Really?
only one time per account. Yeah,
Interesting. I didn't know that.
yeah, only one time per account. So if you start an account, then you can check it out. But after you check it out the first time, never again. Now, the second question, what was that?
If I get 99 combat stats, would you 1v1 me in the Wildy?
As long as she makes me a sandwich first, sandwich lady.
Okay, then that actually leads into the last question. Do you dismiss the sandwich lady in game?
If she has what I need, she has what I'm looking for, then I'll accept I'll accept a sandwich.
So what about the
Yeah,
triangle? What about the
I
triangle
don't want
sandwich?
any stale baguette. Stale baguette does not fit my expectations. So
I always like the triangle sandwich. It looks the coolest.
it is that's a tasty one for sure. So offer me the triangle sandwich and 100% go for it.
Hell yeah. Okay. Champions Cape asks, item or achievement you were most proud of getting on the 10 HP Iron account?
Well, I have two 10 HP Ironmans. What is he talking about? Okay, so Solus Adamus is like the original 10 HP Ironman that I had. I'd say the biggest achievement on there is probably the Granite Mall. Yeah, the Granite Mall.
What was the trick you had to do? Because aren't they introducing something where you can just kind of bypass the XP
Poison
you get?
Dynamite. Yeah, so they're thinking of adding Poison Dynamite to the game, which would allow anybody to kill a monster and get player attributed damage. Basically, it means that that player can loot that monster's drops without getting any combat XP whatsoever.
Okay.
That hasn't existed yet. That doesn't exist. What exists now, and some people might think that you can already do that with Recoil and Vengeance. You can't. Those aren't player attributed forms of damage.
You actually have to hit them at least once.
You actually have to hit them in order to get any loot. Now, that isn't the case for Slayer XP and completing a Slayer task. You can finish a Slayer task without getting any combat XP by like attacking them while they die, and another player finishes off the kill, basically. So it's very strange, right? But
yeah.
Basically, what I did with the gargoyles to get the Granite Mall was I would deal a little bit of damage to them. It was necessary because I was trying, first of all, to heal really quickly. And you can't bring a cannon in the Slayer Tower. And there are no other gargoyles where you can ever cannon them. So what I had to do was I was forced to damage them and get hit points experience. And what I did was I went there with my clan chat, just like people from my clan chat, just random people. And they venomed one of the gargoyles. And then that gargoyle, like they did this with just by damaging one damage on the gargoyle, and they had a blowpipe and a serpentine helm, so it had like 100% chance of venoming the gargoyle.
Yeah.
Then because gargoyles heal so quickly, it went up back to 100% health. And what this does when it goes back to 100% health, it doesn't think that it was hit by another player. So an Iron Man, it basically resets the variable. So an Iron Man can then go up to the gargoyle and kill it and get the loot. Whereas usually, if the gargoyle has, even just like 10 hit points less than full health, an Iron Man can kill most of that gargoyle, 90% of its hit points, and won't get the loot.
Yep.
But because the gargoyle healed back to full, it counted towards any Iron Man that does damage to it. But in addition, it was venomed. So it healed back to full, and then it would take like a 6 damage splat or an 8 damage splat, and then it would go up to 10, and then it would go to 12, and then 14 or whatever. And so it was venomed while another player, in my case, my 10 HP Iron Man Solus Adamus, was able to reduce my range level down to 0, magic longbow the gargoyle for a guaranteed chance of hitting a 0 or a 1, and then that would count as my kill because I dealt 1 damage to it. All the while, the venom would be continually dealing damage to the gargoyle. So I would get a 1.33 hit point experience kill attributed to my name. And after I think I did 300 gargoyle kills, which was about 400 hit points experience, I got a little unlucky with it. Eventually I got the Granite Maul on a low hit point Iron Man, and I had to get 12 hit points in order to achieve it because I got very unlucky with it.
Yeah. That is kind of a shame that it really is just like, you have to get all the way to 75 Slayer, and then it's all RNG. Like, will you get this by the time you hit the next HP level? It's all just completely random per account. So this poison dynamite thing would just totally prevent that. It would just make you able to get unlimited G-Malls because you just won't have to get any XP,
right.
Correct?
That's right. Yep.
But it's very slow still, right? Or something
very
like that.
Slow. Yeah. Based on the thing that they proposed, it would be super slow. So we'll see. But it's better than nothing.
Yeah. I think, and I don't think, clearly it doesn't benefit every account, but I don't think there's any downsides to having that. I think it's just a lot more fair, and it allows those unique builds to be more, I don't know, sustainable, I guess. Because once you lose...
I wouldn't characterize the current situation as unfair. If you want to unlock items, then you should have to either do really niche underground methods in order to achieve those items, or you should just be able to accept that you need to gain combat experience.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Ken the Lion asks, are daily uploads sustainable? Does it drain you? Is RuneScape Chronicles your sole project at the moment, or do you have a project in mind for your main channel?
It's a good question. I have a lot of ideas for my main channel that I could upload videos about. As for RuneScape Chronicles, that is definitely like a daily thing that it does take time away from my main channel, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's one of my primary projects. Like, I'm going to be consistently doing it for the foreseeable future, like every single day. So in terms of like my main channel, I haven't even decided what my next main channel video is going to be, because I'm just so focused on RuneScape Chronicles. But I do expect to upload like 2 main channel videos per month, probably, at least. And then RuneScape Chronicles should be every 2 days from now on. The reason for that is because I was advised by a lot of people that I trust, like other RuneScape YouTubers, that I need to start uploading 8-minute or longer videos because, first of all, they make more money, and I need to be able to fund the channel somehow. And second of all, YouTube will promote videos that
are longer,
that make them more money.
Yep.
YouTube doesn't like to promote videos and try to get your attention with videos that make them very little ad revenue. They want to promote long videos that give them a lot of ad revenue. So if I want to entertain more people and add more value to the content creators that I feature, then and also make money for myself, because I'm still losing money every day, then I need to make longer videos. So
Yeah,
That's
that's probably the
what's gonna happen.
smartest as
Yeah,
well. Plus,
we're gonna upload every 2 days instead. Yeah.
yeah, and I think what's also cooler about that is, some people might disagree with me, but then it allows you 2 days of even better clips. So you have a larger selection to get like
True.
the really good clips. 'Cause
Yeah,
if you have a day where just like nothing really happened that much, like you can just wait for the next one, see if anything else.
That's right. Exactly.
That's
Yep.
cool. I'm excited for your project, dude. I always get really excited about these new things, and this is definitely nothing we've seen before, at least with the editing and stuff. I know it seems like we've all seen these highlight videos, but this is something special, man. And I know I keep
Thank you.
praising it, but I just don't want it to leave, man. I want you to keep doing it, so just keep it up.
I'm glad. I'm really glad to hear that.
Okay. Alistair's praising me, and but he does ask favorite content creator. I'm gonna ignore the fact that he said why is it me, but who is your favorite? Who is your favorite content creator? Real talk. I'm actually very curious. Or top 3 potentially.
I'll give you top 3 in no particular order. Probably Bodhi. How about I just give you one?
All right,
How about I
let's do
just give you Bodhi?
Okay.
I'll just say Bodhi.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, I think he really does. I mean, he's a great example to what a content creator should be.
He's very inspiring.
Very cool. Okay. A cold one asks, did those guys who wanted to send you a copy of Hitman for the Xbox 360 ever make good on their word? Do you ever hear from them anymore?
They didn't. Like, they were going to send it to me. We organized, where they were going to drop it off. But, yeah, unfortunately, they never got it to me. So I'm still looking out for that. We'll see if I get it anytime soon.
Okay. Now, this question comes from Wolfie. He asks, long time ago, you got banned for real world trade. Would you say you regret it, or do you look at it different, or do you look at it in any different way now?
Yeah, I don't really know. Like, I haven't given it thought in a while. Like, do I regret it? Like at the time, like at the time when I got banned on three accounts permanently, like yeah, I regretted it. But
Yeah.
it's just something that I don't think about. Like,
It's
how
just
long
like,
has it been?
whatever.
Like 4 years later.
Yeah.
It's not like a negative aspect of my day-to-day life. Like I don't recollect that frequently. It's not like a memory that I
just curse it. Haunts you.
yeah, it doesn't haunt me. It's just like a thing that I felt like I needed to do at the time.
Yeah.
And because I'll tell you why I did it was because I needed money. Like I just graduated from college and I had no money, and I was living with Alfie and Hyphonics in LA.
Oh my
and
God.
LA is very expensive.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I was trying to continue with YouTube. Like I wanted to do YouTube full time, and it was either that or pursue like software engineering, programming.
Yep.
Because that's what I got my degree in. So, but I really wanted to. I had 70,000 YouTube subs, and I thought, okay, well, this has potential. I'm not just going to leave this behind, because I built this up throughout all of college.
Yep.
And so I really wanted to stick it through, and I wasn't using basically I just didn't really have a need for my main account GP. So I went to the Duel arena, and I made a lot of money, and yeah, I sold that to basically pay rent at the time.
Yeah.
And then I got the SmackDown, which I fully accepted at the time. Like I was very transparent about it. I told everyone, I immediately made a YouTube video about it, because I deserved the ban. And then I just focused on my Ironman videos. Thankfully, those didn't get permanently banned.
Yeah.
The Ironman that I had, and I was able to continue making videos. But But just for the record, I want to put this out there. I did get a lot of shit for real world trading, but like I donated like 10 times that amount to other streamers and like content creators. Like, so I just want to put that out there. Like, I'm not solely, self-interested, although I am self-interested. But I'm not solely, and I really care about the community. And I was donating like tons of money to, which was irresponsible. Like that was really stupid. Like I did that all throughout college. Super dumb. But I just loved, watching other streamers. So
supporting them. I want to ask, simply because of being a content creator that gets controversy. Like, what did that teach you? Because, I mean, there are so many content creators that made a fuck up or made a mistake, and then I mean, I'm not going to go through examples, but even like the top people have made mistakes or things come out and it just ends up being controversy. What did you learn from that experience? I mean, because it's even happened to me at a lesser degree where I make a fuck up and then it feels like the world's crumbling down on you and everyone hates you and shit. And then time passes and you're like, oh, whatever. Yeah. But what did you learn from that experience? Like, at least in the controversy, not like.
I know what you mean. Yeah. Well, so first of all, I already knew like years before that, just from my experience, about how people would talk about, people that are, I'm not saying I'm famous, but like how people talk about people that they don't know personally, that they only know through like hearing about them in the news or hearing about them on the internet. They put them in categories because it's a simplistic way to perceive those people. And why people perceive people simplistically is because it's easier. It's hard to think of everybody as this like extremely complicated, unique, like interesting, highly, very in-depth kind of person with all these ambitions that they have, all the goals they have, all the nuances of the good and bad inside of them,
their environment, everything.
It's so hard to think of people in that way for every single person that you hear about. And so, years before any of this happened, I already knew that, like I would hear people talk really badly about Justin Bieber, like other guys that were, I don't know why, they just hated Justin Bieber. Yeah. And I would think about like, well, have you ever met the guy? Why do you instantly hate him? Just because this news media outlet made a hit piece on him and talked about how his voice is cringy or some I don't know, dude. Whatever the reason was for hating Justin Bieber. And so I already kind of knew that going into it, that if you're going to be someone that's in the spotlight and putting yourself there, like as I was by making YouTube videos, people would perceive you in simplistic ways. And there's kind of like an element of tribalism in that people, they can gang up on you or whatever. Yeah. That's why the little amount of backlash that I had, like I perceive it as a little amount. At the time, it felt like more. Yeah. But most people were very supportive. Like a ton of people just commented on that video. It's not a big deal. We don't give it. It's not like morally irreprehensible to real world trade. So I think that was 90% of people, or 80, it's ridiculous amount that said, we don't care, man. Like that's what they said. Because, I opened up about it. I was transparent. And something I learned was to be transparent, to be honest. That is very rewarding. And people, they really appreciate that about you if you are honest with them. Yep. So obviously I learned some good things, and I also learned what it was like to be, criticized in that way by the small amount of people that did criticize me. They would,
and they're very loud about it. They make sure to be very loud.
Yeah, they're loud about it. They're very consistent. They always try to remind you that you did this bad thing. Yeah. And I did get that for a few years. Like for the first 3 years afterwards, maybe 2 years or something, people would always be like, KempQ, you're a horrible person, you RWT'd. And they would mean that genuinely. Like very small minority of people would mean that genuinely. Most people, first of all, don't care or don't bring it up. And then the other people that like bring it up, they're just like teasing me, which is fun. It's like banter.
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, you real traded," and got banned for it, which I find very funny. So I can appreciate the humor in that because I did something stupid and I got punished accordingly. Um, so yeah, I guess that's what I learned is to be honest. People appreciate that. People respect that. And I also learned what it's like to, get criticized and kind of categorized as this, or characterized as simply a bad person.
Yep.
So
There's no,
that's what I
yeah.
learned.
Yeah. I think it's kind of almost healthy to get a little bit of that controversy. So then you are I mean, now when I see a creator, like an OSR's creator, go through some sort of controversy, that's not really that big of a deal. But it seems like a big deal because people are making it way bigger than it needs to be. I have a lot of empathy now for it because I've gone through my own little things. And now I understand, okay, yeah, people do just want to hate you. Like, there are just people that want to rile you up. And so now when I see people that have made a mistake years and years ago that is still brought up, it's like, Jesus, dude, like, move on. But I now empathize a bit more, and I can appreciate the nuance to situations. It's not all black and white. And
Yeah.
yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I do black and white things all the time. Well, what I mean by that is that I perceive things as black and white all the time
Yep.
because sometimes when I'm not thinking things through, that is just my default way. And it's very hard because you have to analyze situations and take time to think about things in order to understand, okay, well, maybe he had a reason for doing that I'm not aware about. I don't know this full situation. And over the years, I think I've gotten a lot better at that, than just being like a brute that sees everything in black and white. Um, and it's just maturing, man. It's just everybody goes through that because when you're young and stupid, you just like you don't really you're not focused on all those like peripheral things that have much more depth than you're giving them credit for.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm looking at some of the topics. It looks like we've covered mainly everything, but I will cover this final one by Riverton. He asks, is it true John MP4 is chained to your basement floor?
No comment.
Oh, God. All right. Well, I guess we'll never know. But KempQ, I have a couple more questions for you, just things I like to ask people that I get on. But
Cool.
do you have anything that you would like to kind of add before we wrap things up?
I think I'm good. I don't have anything to add.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask you a couple questions, and one of them is, what is your favorite item in RuneScape? And
Potentially the rune scimitar.
really?
Yeah.
Why do you say
Yeah.
that?
It's very iconic because going for the rune simi on like an early Ironman at Fire Giants,
Mm-hmm.
that was like the most iconic thing to do back in 2014, 2015.
Yeah,
And just getting that, well, first of all, I went like 800 Fire Giants dry on my first Ironman,
Jeez.
which was crazy unlucky.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just a very nostalgic item for me. Because of free to play PKing, like it's the best DPS in free to play. And also because of that Fire Giant grind that I had to do on my first Ironman.
Okay. That I like it. Mine's a third age bow. I know nobody asked, but
That's
third
a
age
sick
bow
item.
is just
That is,
so
yeah,
sexy. Is
that's an awesome item. I love that one as well.
yeah. Okay. The other question I have is, where do you see yourself in 5 years from now, or where would you like to be in 5 years from now?
I would still like to be uploading like community videos every day and doing in real life main channel content. So like converting KempQ into RuneScape stuff, but also maybe doing something else that's interesting to me. Like, um, I really like. I don't know if I'll pursue this type of content, but do you know Cody Co?
No.
Cody Co is another YouTuber. He doesn't do like RuneScape stuff, but he's hilarious, and I really enjoy his videos. Sometimes he just does like reaction content. I think that's actually most of what he does.
Yeah.
But he's so funny, and I just want to. I just really like his type of content, and I'd like to kind of pursue that in the future.
Very cool. Well, I can just say I know for a fact you're going to be totally all right in the next 5 years. You seem to be very well grounded and very structured, I should say. Even though I don't know you well, it appears to me that you're very structured and you know what your priorities are. So I wish you the best of luck in those upcoming years.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And also, I'm very excited that your podcasts are doing so well. I mean, you've already done, this is your 74th.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
It's nuts how fast they go. I mean, I started this a year and a half ago, and it's like, sheesh, that flew by. I thought like most projects I start, I mean, throughout my entire life, I think of projects I've started, they always fizzle out after a couple weeks. Just like, that was cool for a little bit. All right, I'm bored, or like, I'm too lazy to keep this up. And this has definitely been one of the most fulfilling projects I've worked on in my life.
That's really cool. So. Yeah, and people, you have such like an in-depth knowledge of RuneScape that people are happy to be have a conversation with you.
Yeah.
And so that's awesome that you're able to do this on your YouTube channel. And with the Bodhi podcast, that is one of your most successful podcasts ever.
Yeah,
right?
It was the most. Yep.
That's sick, man. Congrats.
Thank you so much. Okay, I have one last thing for you, and then I'll give the little shout out to your links and everything. But I want to hear 3 shout outs. Now, these don't need to be the top 3 by any means, but 3 people in the OSRS community that you think deserve a shout out. And why?
Okay. Sure. Okay, let's go Tasty Life. Very entertaining Twitch streamer, putting a lot of work into his streams and also on YouTube. He's just doing a kick-ass job. He only started streaming recently, like in the last year or so. Let's see. Who's another up-and-comer recently? It's hard to say. Let me check my eligibility spreadsheet. Only people that have said yes to being featured. Who I really like is R-Dog7.
Okay, yeah, I've seen his clips.
He's PKing.
Yep.
He's hilarious, man. He's so funny.
He looks like his face never changes. I swear to God, he just always has the same face if he's mad or happy.
Dude, he's so adorable, honestly.
He's great.
I like him a lot.
It must be from RuneScape Chronicles actually that I've seen him the most recently, and yeah.
Yeah, I think you have. Yep. He has some great clips, and I'm very happy that he's streaming. He's very entertaining.
Very cool.
As for the third shout out, let's see. I'll go with. Oh, I don't want to do Syndicate. Syndicate doesn't need any shout out. He already has 10 million subs. I'll give a shout out to Straw Hat Danny. He just I'm going to spoil it. He just died on his hardcore in the worst way possible. Like, it sucks. It's so brutal. And I'm about to upload a video about it tomorrow. Actually the next day. It's a brutal way to die on your hardcore. And he was super high combat level.
I was like, he was super high. I was like, okay, that makes sense.
No. He might have been. Who knows? But he is starting a new hardcore Ironman. So I look forward to seeing how he progresses with that one.
Very cool. KempQ, it was an absolute pleasure getting you on today. It was fun picking your brain. And I want This is an invitation to all. Go down in the description of this video, either if you're on Spotify or if you're on any podcasting platform. There's all the links should be down below. Go follow KempQ on his main channel on YouTube, and definitely follow RuneScape Chronicles if you've never heard of it. Literally, just watch the most recent episode whenever you're listening to this. Go click on the channel, watch an episode. It's great. I'm sure that you'll love it, and you'll start watching more and more of it. So, KempQ, do you want me to link your Twitch as well? I don't know how often you stream.
No.
Okay.
No, man.
All right. Well, we'll have both your YouTube channels, your Twitter. Is there anything else you'd like linked?
Oh, that sounds great.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. If you guys would like to support the channel for $2 a month, there's a Patreon link down in the description to get your name on the title screen. Thank you guys very much for listening. Next week, we are going to be getting Whale and Uncle on the cast at the same time. Two Sae Bae cast alumni on the cast together, and we are going to have, I don't even know what we're going to talk about, but it's going to be pretty crazy. So
it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, I'm excited. And also, speaking of Tasty, I just had to briefly mention, I will be on Based After Dark podcast next week, the exact same day I'm getting Uncle and Whale on. So right after the Uncle Whale podcast, I will be going to be a guest on Based After Dark. And if you guys are interested in that, I can mention it to you, or I can link you it down in the comments. But they have started a podcast. I think they're going to be on episode like 5 or so by that point. So keep in tune with that. I'll keep you guys updated on the community channel if you guys are interested in that. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.